Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everyone. Today on the Produce Moms Podcast, I am so thrilled to welcome Lori Castillo. Lori is the Vice President of Marketing at NatureSweet. She has grown into just an icon within our industry, one of the true marketing leaders and powerhouses within fresh produce. She's been a real advocate for, female empowerment and growth within our industry. And I've enjoyed working with her over the last couple of years, and most recently in our brand partnership with NatureSweet and the Produce Moms. And today we are going to dive into the story of NatureSweet. This is truly a powerhouse brand within the produce department, and you're going to love the story behind these tomatoes raised right. So, Lori, welcome to the show. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you, Lori. Happy to be here.
Oh, thanks. So let's kick things off with an introduction. Tell us about yourself, please, Lori, and what you do at NatureSweet.
Sure, thanks. So my name is Lori, as you know, Lori.
And we both spell it the right way too, folks. Lori.
That's right. I've been at NatureSweet now for going on 6 years, and am proudly actually back to my hometown in San Antonio, Texas, where I get to work for this wonderful company that is out to really transform the lives of agricultural workers in North America. We happen to sell the best tasting tomatoes out there and have expanded into some peppers and other greenhouse produce like cucumbers. But, really at the heart of it, that's a byproduct of why we are where we are today. And that's really to make an impact and be that, impossible dream for our communities, our families, and most importantly, our associates.
Yeah, that's right. And man, the dedication to the team at NatureSweet just comes through with the marketing that you bring forward, Lori, the packaging of, I open up the little cherub tomato box, and oftentimes there's a smiling member of the NatureSweet team on the opposite side of that label. And it warms my heart every time. It's one of my absolute favorite things about the brand. And I know that we have a lot of content that we have brought forward together within the Produce Moms and NatureSweet brand partnership. But I just want to emphasize that as we get the show kicked off today, this company has a real dedication to what you might consider or call the human capital element of a business enterprise or operation. So it's really cool what NatureSweet has done in terms of establishing this company culture that makes your teammates first. And I love that. So tell us more about the history and the story behind the brand. How did you guys come to this tomatoes raised right concept and culture at NatureSweet?
You bet. I think it's a little known fact that NatureSweet, we actually began with only a few hectares of production in Texas, in a small town called Devine, Texas in 1990. And it was originally called Desert Glory, and had this kind of iconic red mesh packaging with what are now called our glories, or cherry tomatoes on the vine. And it's just, super exciting to see that we come from that, that small production to being one of the largest, growers in North America. And we've added multiple brands to that. Most folks are really familiar with our cherubs, which are deliciously sweet grape tomatoes in that, as you mentioned, iconic packaging, and really just continue to launch new items, to drive growth and really help the category of fresh produce, fresh tomatoes specifically, grow. We you mentioned our associates, and it really is like working hard and giving it our all. Those are kind of the principles behind everything we do, because we really do believe that you get out what you put in. You know, it's a fun phrase of you reap what you sow, and it's so true in produce, but really words that I feel very confident that NatureSweet stands behind, because who we are as a brand really starts with our amazing associates first. And you know, they get all the credit in the world for raising our tomatoes right, which is an interesting playoff of like our tagline, because from the very beginning, they watch over our seeds and we say from seed to bite, you know, all the way from our nurseries to when it starts sprouting and shipping, you know, into all of our retailer partners, from our greenhouse all the way to the shelf. You know, we're there to help nurture and kind of care for our fun little guys every step of the way. And that's really, I think, the effect that consumers are able to see and really demand is because of all the hard work and love, really. I'm going to go as far as say we love, you know, what we do. And that's why the quality really shows up at shelf.
Yeah. So let's talk about the products that are on shelf. We've mentioned the cherubs, obviously. I think that I have to give that the nod as my family favorite, simply because I've always got a container, always on the center kitchen island. I've got a fruit bowl that has, you know, usually some apples, bananas, sometimes pears in it. And there's always right next to the fruit bowl, at least one container of cherubs. So I will give that the nod as my family favorite, but I am personally a huge fan of the glories. I love to cook with the glories. I encourage people, if you've never actually cooked with the fresh tomatoes in your produce department, start today. Go buy a container of glories, heat them up, blister them up. Oh my gosh, makes the best sauce or soup, or even just like a sauteed, like just a warmed up glory, that it just intensifies the flavor. It's so good. So what are your favorites, Lori? And tell us more about what other types of NatureSweet products shoppers can find on shelf.
You bet. So absolutely. I mean, I think that the most iconic packaging we have is actually our cherubs and that flavor that goes along with it. So I don't think you're alone in giving the nod to that one. Glories, you know, I call them like the OTs, the old school tomatoes. That's who started us off. And you're right, their thicker skin really does help with cooking, because it can kind of hold up to the heat. But I have to tell you, my new obsession, I think that's the best way to classify it, are our comets. And so, you know, I think folks might remember the sunburst tomatoes that we used to have that were yellow and really sweet. The comets is really, we really went up the level of just taste overall. They've quickly become one of my favorites because, you know, sitting now in our next normal, often in front of a Zoom call or a Teams call, I am always looking for something kind of healthy to snack on. And these comets are really, so far for me, the sweetest in our product lineup and just super delicious. That yellow flavor really just gives it, I don't know, like that really awesome, like pop and sweet. And I don't feel guilty for eating, say a package or more than that, you know, during the day. It's quickly become one of my favorite go-tos.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. And, you know, you mentioned when you were talking about the heritage in the early days of NatureSweet with the Desert Glories, did you say that those were actually tomatoes that were originally sold on the vine?
They were sold on the vine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you guys still today sell tomatoes on the vine?
We do. So we actually, we have I want to say a new product, but I think it's really, it's the trend that we're seeing in store. Our Divines tomatoes are a cherry on the vine product that we've learned basic from consumer behavior. You know, what that vine really triggers, when you open that package and you can smell the green, is what I like to say. It really gives this feeling of fresh tomatoes that are homegrown, and, you know, they're really out of kind of your backyard.
Yeah,
and
it does.
So,
it feels like you're walking through like your grandma's garden picking fresh tomatoes when you open the package. I agree.
Yeah. And what's consistent is, you know, when you ask consumers to kind of define or describe a tomato taste, it's really hard sometimes. And a lot of folks are just, it's just very tomatoey. But what it does is evokes this like emotional connection of sunshine and summer. And that's really what you get when you open that pack, you smell and you see that green vine. It's such a whole experience, that really comes to light. And it just brings a smile to my face. We similar to your glories, they've actually divines, because they are a cherry on the vine. Their skin is they're delicious and super sweet, but they also hold up pretty well to cooking. And so it kind of also gives you this premium feel when you can cook with the vine on and put that beautiful presentation on a charcuterie dish, or really trying to impress the family. It's not only nutritious, but it's delicious, and it's
a level of elegance with your eyes when you see that. Yeah.
I joke, I say your phone eats first nowadays, and they photograph beautifully.
You're right. I mean, it's pretty much every time we go dine out, or if I do a good meal at home, if my kids or my husband aren't taking the photo first, I'm the one taking the photo first here. I mean, it's like, absolutely. That's a very true statement. So I love it. What would you say from a consumer favorites? I mean, it sounds like the cherubs do reign as the favorite. What other trends are you seeing within your product lines and brands, and what can we expect as the divines really take off and become more of a consumer favorite? Are there new products coming, or what do you want folks to look for when they come to that tomato set and when they ask their produce department manager about the NatureSweet products?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, because cherubs definitely remain the number one selling kind of small tomato in the category. I mean, those things are a staple. As much as I love comments, what's been fun to see is really consumers starting to experiment more. Now that folks, at least in the more recent months, I think are cooking more at home, just consuming more at home. Medleys and colors, looking for a little kind of break up to the routine of just a normal red tomato. Not that normal red tomatoes are bad. They're delicious, and I don't think there's another substitute for them. But having this kind of trend of color, and like what we were just talking about,
where your phone eats first and photographing something that looks beautiful, is our constellation packs. So comets are actually in constellation. From time to time, you'll find either cherubs or glory, some kind of red in the medley mix. But bringing in a contrast with our darker grape tomato, which is our twilights, sometimes an orange cherry, to just kind of change up the flavors. I think that trying new and different and experimenting with recipes at very low risk, they're going to taste great because they've got the NatureSweet name on them. But really having fun with recipes and just experimenting a little, living a little on the wild side with constellation, I think is really kind of neat. And we've actually seen that trend pick up quite a bit.
Yeah. And I will say, for anyone that is a fan of caprese salads, nothing elevates your caprese salad like adding a container of constellations to the plate. It really is. It's kind of got the same effect, frankly, as the on vine divines have. It's just elevates it just a little, and it's a very easy way to take something from ordinary to wow factor elegance at home. And that's important, especially, right now, more of us are eating at home, and, maybe in the past you would have celebrated out at a restaurant and you're just choosing to dine in at home. This is a great way to bring that restaurant quality, cuisine right into your home kitchen. And it's very accessible and affordable. So you got to love that too.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's talk about this iconic packaging that you have, because it really is. We have had so much fun at the Produce Moms. We recently published a blog to kind of coincide with some of our back to school content on the many ways families can reuse NatureSweet containers. And we've received such great feedback on it. Everything from turning it into a piggy bank to a planter. There's so many fun things that you can do. let's talk about the ways that you promote not only reusing your packaging, but just sustainability overall. Let's talk about the NatureSweet commitment to sustainability.
What an important topic. And I'm not even, I mean, this topic is so important to me personally, but also to the company. I mean, being responsible with our resources is a huge part of the NatureSweet culture. One thing we do differently, you know, beyond, we'll get to I'll touch on the containers in just a second, but, you know, since we're greenhouse grown, we actually plant all of our tomato plants in coconut husks rather than soil, because it helps the tomatoes not only resist more diseases, but it uses up to 80% less water, which is huge in times of, you know, record-breaking temperatures coming from Texas. And really our path forward is to continue to grow, you know, while we're challenging ourselves to reduce just our overall kind of footprint. And so having the ability to recycle some of the water that we use to, you know, again, reduce our footprint. We're even looking at ways to make for example, like our freight lanes more efficient. You know, what can we do from a packaging perspective, which is so iconic, to ensure that it's easy to not only reuse, but recycle, and both come from recycled material. All of those things are top of mind, and our teams are just every day actively looking for ways to introduce that and introduce more of that into a culture that's already part of, you know, being responsible within our communities and with Mother Nature. But, you know, the fun part, and I love some of the piggy bank ways that I saw you use. Those are really cute. And I love when we get consumer ideas. And actually we get a lot of requests from teachers sometimes, because they'll use them in classrooms for either ways to count money or learn colors, right? Because the bases are different. And it's really neat to see that. My favorite is when people are today years old, when they learn that you can actually use the container as a colander. And so it's an easy rinse, you know, and it stays in the same package, which is really, it makes me laugh because my own family does it. I just got something, I'm not kidding, for my cousin like 2 days ago, who said, "You didn't tell me this." And I'm like, sorry, I assume you knew, but
right.
Yeah, using that little trick, that quick hack is always fun.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. And, you know, the commitment to your associates and everyone who's a NatureSweet employee kind of shines through with your EFI certification as well. And overall, just there's so much information that your consumers can learn simply by visiting naturesweet.com. Click on the Our Story tab and you will learn more about the Tomatoes Raised Right commitment that is behind each and every one of those adorable packages of NatureSweet tomatoes that you bring into your home. So this is Lori, this has been a great episode speaking with you. I mean, I feel like you can find NatureSweet tomatoes really anywhere. Every grocery store I've ever been in has them. But feel free to certainly sign us off from the show today with any closing thoughts you have. Make sure folks know where to connect with you and find your products. And again, thank you for what you do and for your time with us today.
Absolutely, Lori. I do want to just kind of give a shout out, because I'm extremely proud of our frontline associates and, you know, them, the energy and the passion that they have maintained, you know, throughout what is just unprecedented, and really happy to be part of a company who didn't have to shift too many principles, or I wouldn't say principles. We didn't shift any principles. We didn't have to shift too many activities, because really the priority is the health and safety of our associates. And so the fact that we didn't, you know, have to, we kept business continuity was great. More importantly, we kept everyone as safe as possible. And it just warms my heart. And it just goes back to, you know, why I do what I do and why I love doing what I do, which is transforming, you know, the lives of agricultural workers. And I hope that in our upcoming campaign, we're going to have some fun new execution around that Tomatoes Raised Right slogan that should be coming out fourth quarter and ideally nationwide 2021. So stay tuned for more information around that. It's going to be really exciting. We have a new partnership with the Smith Brothers Agency, and it's going to be an amazing way to tell our brand story, highlighting our amazing associates.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to Lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.